Welcome back, everybody. Brewery here. So, we're here today to talk about a few things. The American Revolution Expansion being the main topic, and then we'll talk about the general state of the game, Holdfast, and then we'll talk about the future of my YouTube channel briefly before we end the video. So, the American Revolution Expansion basically is a free DLC released by Anvil Games that's coming out for the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series S/S, and it's coming out on June the 11th. We're going to get about 5 new maps, including Bunker Hill, Saratoga, Boston, which is like the Boston Harbor where the Tea Party took place, the Delaware River, and Fort Ticonderoga. Those are the first 5 maps that are confirmed for now. There are quite a few other places that they could potentially make maps off of, but this is a pretty solid foundation to start on. The specialized classes, there's about 15 classes per faction. The 2 factions are the British Empire and the American Patriots. I'll show a few of the British classes on the screen. They haven't released a video showcase of the American uniforms yet. I saw a few of the uniforms when I participated in a playtest a few weeks ago. Some of them looked pretty cool. They were very accurate. They had a little bit of a Davy Crockett thing going on, where those guys wearing like raccoon hats and stuff, and they have like unit specific uniforms and like militia looking uniforms and stuff like that. And anybody who's a nerd of the American Revolution, I think, will be pretty happy with it. So as far as the game modes go, there's nothing really brand new that's coming. There's Conquest and Battle of Attrition modes that are coming out. The spawn menu is a little bit different than in the Nations at War game mode. It's very similar to, like, say, if you're playing Battlefield or something like that. I would show you footage of it, but I'm definitely not allowed to do that, so you'll just have to wait till the game comes out. The player count is still 150, so it's like 75 versus 75, which is in keeping with how we all know and love Holdfast Nations at War. So this expansion has quite a bit of hype around it. This is obviously the 250th anniversary of the United States publishing and signing their Declaration of Independence from the British Empire. So Anvil Games chose a perfect time to release this. I started playing Holdfast back in about 2017 when the game first dropped, and the whole time since I've been playing the game on and off, I've wondered if they were going to do an American Revolution expansion of some kind at some point. And to be honest, I thought that they would do like a War of 1812 type of thing first, seeing as the War of 1812 took place literally at the same time as the Napoleonic Wars. 1812 is when Napoleon invaded Russia, and the War of 1812 ended in 1815, which is the same year that Napoleon got defeated at Waterloo. So I thought that they were going to do an 1812 expansion first before they did this. Nonetheless, I'm very happy to see it personally. There's going to be quite a few new players that come in, and there's going to be a whole lot of memes surrounding this, especially considering the fact that it's the 250th anniversary, and it's going to draw in quite a few people who've never played the game before, and supposedly even Shane Gillis, the comedian, is going to play as well. So from the playtest, my opinion of the game so far, I gotta be honest, it's very similar to Nations at War, with just different skins, essentially. The gunplay is very similar, the melee is basically exactly the same, the graphics aren't that much different. based on the playtest that I participated in. The physics are the same. Pretty much all of it is exactly like Nations at War, just in a American Revolution setting, pretty much. Now, the playtest that I was in, it took kind of a while for me to get in the game. There was a bunch of stuff to download that I didn't have yet, and it took forever for some reason. Not entirely sure why, but once I eventually got into the playtest, it was almost over. There was only about 25 minutes left when I got in, so most people had stopped playing by then, so there was only about maybe 20 guys on each team, if that. So I'm not gonna put a final judgment on it. It was fun. The map looked good. The skins looked good. I played on the American team, and the uniforms looked really nice. There are a few British uniforms, as you can probably see here in the showcase, that are blue, which is similar to what the Americans wear. So if you turn the HUD off, that might cause some confusion, but that's not that big of a deal. The map that I played on, I think, was Fort Ticonderoga. I could be wrong about that. I'll double check that before I finish up the edit for this video. So for the state of Holdfast right now, the Age of Sail expansion was a major success for them, and I think they've retained quite a few players, because whenever I log in during peak hours, there's at least 4 or 5 full servers, which is way more than they used to have back in the day. Back in the day, there used to be only like one full server at a time, so the game is growing pretty well. I think this Revolution expansion is going to bring in a lot more players than perhaps even Anvil Games realizes. Last summer, there was a game called War of Rights that did a temporary American Revolution special for the 4th of July, and it was only about like 3 weeks long, I think. I didn't even get to play it. That brought in so many players that they didn't even have enough servers for it, pretty much. So I think the same thing is going to happen here, pretty much. And last summer, all the gaming YouTubers came over to War of Rights to make videos of it and stuff like that, and some of them got millions upon millions of views, because the hype around that one event and all the memes that came out of that one event was off the charts. So if Anvil Games can pull this off pretty well, I think they're going to have an influx that will surprise everybody and will dwarf Age of Sail in comparison. So for future expansions, I think the War of 1812 is definitely on the table for this. I'm not sure exactly when they would do it, but since they've already brought the Americans in, there's a pretty solid foundation there. And with the War of 1812, they could bring in the Canadians and some unique uniforms that the British wore during the War of 1812. And the War of 1812 could bring in just as many new players and memes as the Revolution can, because for those of you who don't know, the War of 1812, a good bit of it, especially in the beginning, a lot of it was Americans versus Canadians. And for the Canadians, the War of 1812 was actually a pretty big part of their identity, because they held their own against the Americans, while the main bulk of the British army was still in Europe fighting Napoleon. So the Canadians suffered some pretty bad losses during that war, but they were still able to hold off the Americans pretty well. And the main British force came and invaded the United States, and they burnt down the freaking White House. And that was kind of a crazy thing. And then on top of that, in the current day, the Americans and the Canadians still have a few scores to settle, especially from the recent hockey game.
What to say to the American hockey fans? The United States of America! Canada's on top of the hockey world, and we're going to prove it tonight! I didn't like it.
Canadians were not too happy about that one. We're the best in the world at hockey, by the way. Moving on, so for the future of my channel, these next few weeks leading up to the expansion and the week afterwards, I'm going to be extremely busy. I'm pretty much not going to sleep. I'm going to be either recording or playing or editing or making thumbnails just non-stop. I hope to get at least 3 videos out that first week. The following week, have at least 2 videos out per week. And I'll pretty much be playing the American Revolution Expansion through July 4th, because there's going to be hype, obviously, when the game first drops, and then July 4th, there's going to be another spike up in hype, probably. And then after that, not entirely sure what's next. Probably going to stay in Holdfast like normal. That's been my main game, pretty much, for almost the entire year that I've been making videos, so I'll keep doing that. If there's any games that y'all want me to try out, just leave it in the comments. I think the next game that I'll do after Holdfast is probably the Hell Let Loose Vietnam expansion, because that's going to be a doozy. So a couple more things. So my audience has been growing pretty steadily this year, and once I get above a certain number of regular viewers, I would like to start streaming at some point. So let me know if that's something that you guys would want to see. And I'll also do a Q&A in the future also. So after I post this video, I'll make a follow-up post announcing the Q&A for anybody who might have missed this video. So if y'all have any questions that you've been wanting to ask me, any question is fine. You can ask me, you can ask my favorite food, what position I sleep in, how long my eyelashes are, blah blah blah. Just leave it in the comment section here, or leave it in the comment section of the post that goes up after this video is live. So yeah, if you made it to the end of this video, you're a fucking legend. I look forward to seeing you guys in the expansion. See you later. Bye.
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy. Father, I went down to camp along with Captain Goody. There we saw the men and boys as thick as hasty pudding. Yankee Doodle, keep it